In the last two videos, I took you behind the budget and showed you why our leaders are in over their heads. We covered the tax system and the devaluation caused by the money printing that's going on in the background. When we put all this together, it's clear that it's more difficult than ever to get ahead and stay ahead. If you missed parts 1 and 2, watch those first. Links are in the description. Now the question that actually matters. What do I do about it? Welcome back to Capital Clarity with Christian, a former banker with 15 years experience across NAB and Westpac, and now a full-time trader and financial fundamentals advocate, here to help you. Quick housekeeping before I start the episode. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video is personal financial advice. If you need personal financial advice, please speak to your accountant or a licensed financial planner. What I'm sharing here is what I personally do. Take what's useful and leave the rest. The Jenny. Before I walk you through what I do, let me give you the framework. Let's set the scene in Forrest Gump. It captures it perfectly. Forrest and Lieutenant Dan are out on the Jenny when Hurricane Carmen hits them. Every other shrimping boat is tied up safely in the harbour, but they took the smart route, even though it might not have felt that way in the moment. The Jenny gets battered out at sea. When the storm passes, every boat in the harbour has been destroyed. The Jenny is the only one left afloat, and because she survived, Forrest and Lieutenant Dan end up being the only working shrimping boat in the business. That one storm has made them rich. That's the financial environment we're in right this very moment. Cash in the bank, balanced super funds, government bonds. Those are all boats tied up safely in the harbour. They look safe, they feel safe, but the inflation hurricane has been rolling in and will continue to roll in for years. And it's quietly destroying every one of them. The 4 assets I'm about to walk you through are boats built for the storm. They don't just survive inflation, they use it. They get stronger as our dollars get weaker. That's the whole game now. Don't be a boat in the harbour, be the Jenny. Before I show you through the 4 assets, I need to give you this idea, and it's a main idea that sits underneath all of them. Because the assets don't matter if you don't get this first. This is something I first heard from Tony Robbins, and it generally changed how I think about everything. Every dollar you spend, someone owns the other side of it. It's a zero-sum game. You buy that coffee in the morning, someone owns the cafe. You pay your phone bill, someone owns the telco. The whole economy is money flowing from consumers to owners. Most people spend their entire working life on the consumer side only, wondering why they never get ahead. And now, here's a tangible example. This one made it real for me. The iPhone, a fantastic product. And if you bought the standard new model every year, like a lot of people do, from 2007 to today, it would total around 19 different phones. And you would have spent around 17,000 Australian dollars. And now the majority of those phones are worth nothing. Now, let's flip the script. If every time you bought a new iPhone, instead you invested the same amount of money in Apple shares, or invested the same amount as well in Apple shares when you bought your phone, that investment will be worth somewhere around $325,000, roughly 19 times the outcome. One path leaves you with a drawer of dead phones, the other leaves you with $325,000. Now, I want to be straight with you, because there's a trap in that example. I picked Apple because we know it won. For every Apple, there's a Nokia, a BlackBerry, a Kodak, products that people loved in the day, and shares have almost done nothing between now and then. So the lesson is not buy the stock of the gadgets you like, because that could hurt you. The lesson is, across your whole life, be a systematic owner of quality in the broad market, not a gambler chasing the next winner, and not just a consumer. Here's why this became everything for me. There's a ceiling on what you can earn selling your own hours. I worked that out years ago. I cannot earn my way to the future I want for my family through one door being labour alone. The maths just doesn't work. The only thing that works is making the money I've already earned work for me as an owner. I call that leverage. And I want to be precise because that word has 2 different meanings. The good one is making your money and your assets work, whether you're awake or asleep. That's the leverage I mean. That's the gold. The dangerous one is borrowing money to make bigger bets. That is not what I'm talking about. I don't recommend it. It's how people can wipe themselves out. When I say leverage, I mean ownership. Doing the work your hours can't. When people talk about making your money work for you, leverage is how you do it. It's very important that you always think of things in an order. I personally work in an order before I do any investing in assets. Things like having a cash buffer for emergencies, using your offset account, investing in super. Once you've done all these things, any excess money can then help you become an owner. And it's important to note, offsets matter. Like I've said in previous videos, savings on your mortgage interest are guaranteed tax-free returns. So we shouldn't underutilize them in holding your cash buffer. If you want more information on this, watch my previous mortgage offset video. So with that mindset locked in, here's what I actually own. Ownership asset number 1, property. My family home isn't really an investment. It's a place to live. It protects me from rent inflation. But the wealth building version is productive property. Property that pays you. Investment property that generates rental yield. Commercial property, farmland. Why does it work? Real estate is a real asset. It exists in the physical world. They can't print more of it. My grandparents could buy a house for $15,000 in 1970. Today, that same very house is worth $2 million. The house didn't get 50 times better. The dollars got 50 times weaker. Now, time to be honest with you around something personal. I'm in the middle of buying an investment property right this very moment. I'd planned to use negative gearing as part of that strategy. The contract was signed well before the budget night, and that grandfathering provision means that I'm protected for this particular property. But here's the lesson. If I'd have signed that contract just after the budget was released, my plan would have completely changed. The rules they tell you to plan around are not the rules that they always keep. That's not a criticism of any one government. That's a structural truth about democracies. Every government changes the rules at moments of political convenience. Your job isn't to predict it. Your job is to build a system around it, and the lesson for productive property is the same as it's always been. Own the house. Don't just hold the dollars. Make sure your plan works, whether negative gearing still exists or not. Don't build a strategy that depends on one single tax concession. Asset number 2, gold. The one many of us have never actually owned. Gold has a perception problem here. It's something pirates bury or your nan keeps in a jewelry box. But let me reframe it. Gold is the world's longest running insurance policy. For 5,000 years across every empire, every civilization, every government that has ever existed, humans have always agreed on one thing, that gold is a store of value. The Roman Empire fell. Their gold coins still buy things today. Gold isn't valuable because it's pretty. It's valuable because they can't print it. The supply is fixed. So when governments print more dollars, gold goes up. Not because gold changed, because the dollars got weaker. And here's the thing that convinced me. If you look at the central banks themselves, the same ones telling us the dollar is fine, they have been quietly burying gold for over a decade. China, Russia, India, Turkey, Poland. If the people running the system are buying gold, that tells you something. Asset number 3, quality shares. When you buy shares, you're buying a piece of a real business. Real cash flow. If inflation makes everything more expensive, a good business just charges more. Profits keep up, share price keeps up over time. But not every company can do that and do that well. So I filter for categories, and ideally both. 1, companies selling things that people genuinely need: food, water, energy, healthcare, banking, basic resources. 2, companies with so much brand power that they can put prices up and customers keep buying anyway. That's called pricing power. The most valuable trait a business can have when inflation is eating currency. Let me talk you through a story and make this real. Coca-Cola entered Germany in 1929. Over the next 16 years, Germany went through hyperinflation, the Nazi regime, and the entire Second World War. Currencies came and went. Whole cities were destroyed. Coca-Cola's German production just adapted. When the war cut off syrup from America, the local manager, Max Keith, invented a new drink using whatever he could find. Leftover whey from cheese production, apple fibre, and beet sugar. That drink, he called it Fanta. Today, Fanta is sold in over 190 countries. That's pricing power. That's a business so essential to its customers that it didn't matter what currency was in use, who was in power, or whether the supply chain even existed. In Australia, Woolworths, Coles, the big banks, BHP, the energy companies, Telstra, They sit in one or both of those categories. These are the Jennies, the boats built to weather the storm. And here's the clearest example of this principle. It's happening right now. Artificial intelligence run in data centers. Data centers eat electricity on a scale we've never seen before. The power grid that feeds them has been starved of investment for 20 years. So the companies that build the energy infrastructure, the transformers, the grid hardware, the transmission, sell something that the world needs more of and will continue to need more year after year. That's the quality shares test happening in real time. In 1 year, the 4 biggest tech companies spent over $200 billion on these build-outs. US data center power demand is on track to roughly double by 2030. That's the kind of structural demand that defines quality business. However, one honest warning, this corner has already run hard. Some of these funds are up 60-80% in the last year. So you're not buying cheap, and it can fall just as fast. It's the higher volatility end of quality shares, not a safe defensive holding. I'll cover how to actually get exposure and how to evaluate in a fund rather than just buying the first one you see in my report. Full transparency, it's the part of this universe I'm personally most focused on adding, not the one I already hold a big position in. If you don't want to pick individual companies, a low-cost index fund of the top 200 Australian or 500 American companies gives you some broad exposure. Not perfect, but a whole lot better than holding cash in a savings account. Asset number 4, a small bet on the future. A small bet in something I call Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist by any means, and I'm not selling you to put your retirement into it. But I'd be doing you a disservice not to mention it. Bitcoin was created in 2009, the year after the GFC, specifically as a response to bank bailouts and money printing. There were only ever 21 million coins capacity invented. No central bank can create more. In countries where local currency is collapsing, Argentina, Lebanon, Turkey, and Venezuela, ordinary people are using Bitcoin as a lifeboat. For the first time in history, ordinary people have an option that isn't controlled by a government. It's volatile. Yes, it's very volatile. It can drop 50% in a month. So it's not where I'd be putting my savings, but I hold a small allocation, 1 to 5% of my portfolio. If it works, it will work massively. If it doesn't, I've risked an amount I can afford to lose. Think of it as a lottery ticket with real odds. Optional, but not essential. The summary, and let me bring it all together. The old rules, save cash, pay off your mortgage, trust the system, aren't enough anymore. Not because the people who taught them lied to you, because the world has changed under their feet. The way I think about it is simple. Own real things, not just dollars. Productive property, a meaningful slice of gold, quality shares, essentials or pricing power, ideally both, including the companies powering the AI era, and maybe a small bet on the future in Bitcoin. Cash for short-term liquidity only. Everything else is working in real assets. Bottom line, you can't control what they print. You can't control what they tax. But you can choose where your money lives and whether that money is working for you. You can choose what you own. You can choose how you position your family for what's coming. This isn't about getting rich. It's about not getting quietly poorer whilst doing everything you were told to do. Now, why I trade. The 4 assets I just walked you through are my long-term play, the foundation for my wealth and my portfolio. For most Australians, PAYG or self-employed, that is a long-term strategy alongside your regular income, and that is the right answer. Keeping it simple, owning real things, letting time do the work for you, and utilizing that beautiful thing called compounding. But I also do something else. I trade actively, and I want to be honest with you about why. Trading is not investing. They look the same. They both involve money in markets, but they do completely different jobs. Long-term, investing builds wealth slowly. It compounds, it's resilient. That's where most of my money lives and will continue to live. Trading, however, is a short-term hedge, a way of making active income from the same markets the system is breaking. Done well, it complements a long-term strategy. Done badly, it destroys it. After 15 years inside of 2 of the big 4 banks, I'd seen enough to know I wanted to be more active, more in control of my outcomes. So I made the call to leave the bank and trade full time. It's not for everyone. Trading takes time. It takes study. It takes the right temperament. If you're happy with regular income, regular super, and a long-term real asset strategy, honestly, you don't need to trade. That in itself is a complete plan. But if you've got a passion for the markets an appetite for learning, and you want a complementary layer, that's where my next money series comes in. I'm building How I Trade, taking you behind the scenes of how I think about the markets, structure trades, and manage my risk. A link to that series will be in the description. Here's what I want you to take away from these 3 videos. The central banks are in over their heads. They learned a bad lesson from Japan, got hooked after the GFC, and pushed it into nuclear in COVID. The budget that just dropped is more of the same. More spending, more taxes, more borrowing. Every year, the dollars in your bank account quietly lose value while you work hard to earn more, trading in your valuable time. That's the whole game now. Awareness, action, real assets, and patience. Remember the Jenny, don't be the boat locked away, supposedly safe in the harbour. Because the truth is, there is never any easy way out. There's no shortcut home. Not in the markets, not in life. The boat that survives the storm are the ones built to weather it. The families that get through these decades are the ones who do the work now, quietly, patiently, without expecting anyone to come rescue them. That's the end game. If this trilogy helped, comment clarity below and grab the full report at the link in the description. Hit subscribe and share it with someone you love. And if you want to go deeper, the How I Trade series is the next step. I'm Christian, this is Capital Clarity. The rules have changed. Now you know the game, it's time to play it better. We'll see you in the next one.